Section 6. I come now in the sixth place to show you what prayer that is, which accompanies salvation. But I see that I must contract what remains into a narrow space, lest I should tire out both the reader and myself, which, that I may not, I shall endeavor by divine assistance to mind brevity in what remains. Now that prayer does accompany salvation, I have formerly showed. Now I am briefly to show you what prayer that is, which accompanies salvation, and that I shall do in these following particulars. 1. The first property. First, prayer is a divine worship whereon we speak to God in faith, humility, sincerity, and fervency of spirit, through the mediation of Christ, begging those good things that we and others lack, and giving thanks for that we and others have received. Prayer is a speaking to God face to face. It is Jacob's ladder by which the soul climbs up to heaven. It is Noah's dove that goes and returns, not until it brings assurance of peace. The matter of prayer may be reduced to these heads: petition, to deprecation, intercession, expostulation. There are other distinctions in regard of the manner, as first, mental prayer, which is the inward lifting up of the heart to God. Secondly, vocal, which is uttered by words, as the publican, God be merciful to me a sinner. Thirdly, there is spontaneous prayer and written prayer. Fourthly, there is public or private prayer. These hints may suffice as to this, but not to please you with notions. You must remember that that prayer which accompanies salvation is such prayer as has in it all the requisites of prayer. Now there are 4 requisites in prayer. The first requisite. First, the person must be righteous. James 5:16. The fervent prayer of a righteous man avails much. John 9:31. God hears not sinners. The Jews urge it as a proverb. An unclean person pollutes his own prayers. Good motions from a bad heart make no music in heaven. I have read of a jewel that, being put in a dead man's mouth, loses all its virtue. Prayer in the mouth of a wicked man, which is dead Godwards, Christwards, heavenwards, and holinesswards, is a jewel that loses all its virtue. Psalm 50, verse 16 to 17. But unto the wicked God says, What have you to do to declare my statutes, or that you should take my covenant into your mouth, seeing that you hate instruction and cast my words behind you? Bias, a heathen, being at sea in a great storm, and perceiving many wicked wretches with him in the ship, calling upon the gods, Oh, says he, refrain your prayers, hold your tongues. I would not have the gods take notice that you are here. They will sure drown us all if they would. You are wise and know how to apply it. Jerome said, What does it avail to invocate God with your voice, whom you deny in your works? The second requisite. The second requisite in prayer is this, namely, the matter of your prayer must be according to God's will. 1 John 5:14. And this is the confidence that we have in him, that if we ask anything according to his will, he hears us. The favorites of heaven have no further the ear of the King of Kings in prayer than the matter of their prayer is sound and agreeable to his will. Romans 8:27. The matter of your prayer must fall under some particular or general scriptural precept or promise, or else God will never own it nor honor it with acceptance. You must not pray as Augustine prayed before his conversion. He prayed for patience with a proviso. Lord, give me patience, says he, but not yet. Such hypocrisy is double iniquity, and God will deal with such sinners accordingly. It was both a profane and blasphemous speech of that atheistic wretch that told God he was no common beggar. He never troubled him before with prayer, and if he would hear him that one time, he would never trouble him again. The third requisite. Thirdly, as the matter of your prayer must be scriptural, so the manner of your prayer must be right. God regards not so much the matter as the manner of our prayer. God loves adverbs better than nouns, not to pray only, but to pray well. Now, for the better and further clearing of this truth, I shall show you by divine assistance what it is to pray in the right manner, and that I shall do in the following particulars. First, to pray in a right manner is to pray understandingly, to pray knowingly. 1 Corinthians 14:15, I will pray with understanding. He who does not pray understandingly does not pray but prate, as that parrot in Rome which could distinctly say over the whole creed, John 4:22, You worship you know not what, says Christ. So many pray they know not what. Without knowledge the mind cannot be good, Proverbs 19:2. And can the prayer be good when the mind is bad? A blind mind, a blind sacrifice, a blind priest are abominable to God. Ignorance is the source of all sin, the very wellspring from which all wickedness does issue. It was a good saying of one, God hears not the words of one that prays, says he, unless he who prays hears them first himself. And truly, God will never understand that prayer which we do not understand ourselves. Secondly, to pray in a right manner is to pray believingly. Hebrews 11:6. He who comes unto God must believe that he is. That is, that he is really as good, as gracious, as glorious, as excellent, as constant, etc., as his word reports him to be, and that he is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. Mark 11:24. Therefore I say unto you, what things soever you desire, when you pray, believe that you receive them, and you shall have them. In the Greek, it is in the present tense. You do receive them, to show the certainty of receiving them. You shall as certainly receive the good things that believingly you ask in prayer, as if you had them already in your hand. God will never let the hand of faith go empty away in prayer. Faith is God's darling, and he never fails to give it a worthy portion. A Benjamin's portion, a Hannah's portion, a double portion. James 1:5-7. If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God, that gives to all men liberally, and upbraids not, and it shall be given him. But let him ask in faith, nothing wavering. For he who wavers is like a wave of the sea, driven with the wind and tossed. For let not that man think that he shall receive anything of the Lord. He who prays doubtingly shuts the gates of heaven against his own prayers. Unbelief is virtually all ill. Therefore fight especially against it. One of the ancients describes prayer thus: prayer is a climbing up of the heart to God, which cannot be done but by the power of faith. It is reported in the life of Luther that when he prayed it was with so much reverence, as if he were praying to God, and with so much boldness, as if he had been speaking to his friend. Faith in prayer makes a man divinely familiar and bold with God in prayer. That prayer which has not the image and stamp of faith upon it is no prayer in divine account. The sweetest flowers of paradise are only acceptable to God as they are offered to him by the hand of faith. Augustus, when a poor man came to present a petition to him with his hand shaking and trembling out of fear, the emperor was much displeased, and said, It is not fit that any should come with a petition to a king as if a man were giving meat to an elephant, that is, afraid to be destroyed by him. Truly, Jehovah loves to see every one of his petitioners to come to him with a steadfast faith, and not with a trembling hand. Christ gets most glory and the soul gets most good, by those prayers which are accompanied with the actings of faith. Thirdly, to pray in a right manner is to pray intensely, fervently, earnestly. So James 5:16, the effectual fervent prayer of a righteous man avails much, or as the Greek has it, the working prayer. That is, such prayer as sets the whole man at work. The word signifies such a working with the liveliest activity that can be. It works wonders in heaven, in the heart, and in the earth. Such working prayer as sets all the faculties of the soul and all the graces in the soul at work always speeds. It fails not of winning the day, of carrying the crown. As medicine harms the body if it works not, so does prayer the soul if it be not working prayer. As a painted fire is no fire, a dead man no man, so a cold prayer is no prayer. In a painted fire there is no heat. In a dead man there is no life. Just so in a cold prayer there is no omnipotence, no devotion, no blessing. It is not cold, but working prayer, which can lock up heaven 3 years and open heaven's gate at pleasure, and bring down the sweetest blessings upon our heads, and the choicest favors into our hearts. Cold prayers are as arrows without heads, as swords without edges, as birds without wings. They pierce not, they cut not, they fly not up to heaven. Cold prayers always freeze before they reach to heaven. So Jacob was earnest in his wrestling with God. Let me alone, says God. I will not let you go except you bless me, says Jacob, Genesis 32:24-27. Jacob, though lamed and exhausted, will not let the Lord go without a blessing. Jacob holds with his hands when his joints were out of joint, and so, as a prince, prevails with God. Jacob prays and weeps and prays, and so prevails with God. Hosea 12:4. Yes, he had power over the angel, and prevailed. He wept and made supplication unto him, etc. The Jews have a saying that since the destruction of Jerusalem, the door of prayers has been shut. But the door of tears was never shut, says one. It is not the labor of the lips, but the travail of the heart. It is not the pouring forth a flood of words, but the pouring out of the soul, which makes a man a prince, a prevailer with God. A man who would gain victory over God in prayer must strain every string of his heart. He must, in beseeching God, besiege him, and so get the better of him. He must strive in prayer even to an agony. He must be like importunate beggars, who will not be put off with frowns or silence or sad answers. Those who would be masters of their requests must with the importunate widow press God so far as to put him to the blush. They must with a holy impudence, as Basil speaks, make God ashamed to look them in the face, if he should deny the importunity of their souls. The word signifies to strive to the shedding of blood. Buffet me, or beat me down with her blows, as wrestlers beat down their adversaries with their fists or clubs. An importunate soul will never cease until he obtains. He will devour all discouragements. Yes, he will turn discouragements into encouragements, as the woman of Canaan did, until Christ says, "Be unto you, O soul, as you will." As a body without a soul, much wood without fire, a bullet in a gun without powder, so are words in prayer without fervency of spirit. The hottest springs send forth their waters by ebullitions. I have read of one who, being sensible of his own dullness and coldness in prayer, reproved himself thus. What, do you think that Jonah prayed thus when he was in the belly of hell? Or Daniel when he was in the lion's den? Or the thief when he was upon the cross? And I may add, or the 3 children when they were in the fiery furnace? Or the apostles when they were in bonds and prisons? Oh, that Christians would reprove themselves out of their cold prayers and chide themselves into a better and a warmer frame of spirit when they make their supplications before the Lord. An importunate soul in prayer is like the poor beggar who prays and knocks, who prays and waits, who prays and works, who knocks and begs, and will not stir from the door until he has an alms. And truly he who is good at this will not be long a beggar in grace. God will make his heart and his cup to overflow. The Jews write upon the walls of their synagogues this sentence, that prayer, without the intention of the mind, is but as a body without a soul. You know how to apply it. Jerome speaks of certain holy women in his time, that they seemed in their fervent affections to join with the holy company of heaven. Fourthly, to pray in a right manner is to pray assiduously, constantly, as well as fervently. Luke 18:1. And he spoke a parable unto them to this end, that men ought always to pray and not to faint, or as it is in the Greek, not to shrink back as sluggards in work or cowards in war, to pray in every opportunity. Now men pray always, first when their hearts are always prepared to pray or in a praying frame, secondly when they do not omit the duty, when it is to be performed, or when they take hold on every opportunity to pour out their souls before the Lord. 1 Thessalonians 5:17, pray without ceasing. A man must always pray habitually, though not actually. He must have his heart in a praying disposition in all estates and conditions, in prosperity and adversity, in health and sickness, in strength and weakness, in wealth and wants, in life and death. So in Ephesians 6:18, praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, and watching thereunto with all perseverance and supplication for all saints. Our daily weaknesses, our daily wants, our daily fears, our daily dangers, our daily temptations, etc., call for our daily prayers. Romans 12:12, rejoice in hope, be patient in affliction, be persistent in prayer. It is a metaphor taken from dogs that hunt, which will not give over the game until they have got it. A dog of all creatures is best able to endure hunger. He will run from place to place and never leave it until he has got his prey. So a child of God, in his hunting after God, Christ, grace, peace, mercy, glory, never gives over until he has found his heavenly prey. Song 3:4. At length I found him whom my soul loved. I held him and would not let him go. The spouse never left hunting after her beloved until she had found him. Augustine's usual wish was that when Christ came, he might find him either praying or preaching. Gracious souls reckon that they have nothing until they speed in the things they plead for, as a hungry man eats as if he had never ate before. They pray as if they had never prayed, and think that they have done nothing until they have done the deed. If we will continue constant in our wrestling with God for blessings, though God should appear unto us in the form or shape of a judge, an enemy, a stranger, etc., yet still to press him hard for mercy, truly mercy will come in the long run, and we shall say that it is not in vain for men to hold on praying, though God for a time delays giving the particular favors they plead for. As that emperor said, it behooves an emperor to die standing, so may I say, it behooves a Christian to die praying. Hypocrites are inconstant in their prayers. They are only at it by fits and starts. They are only constant in inconstancy. Fifthly, to pray in a right manner is to pray sincerely. Psalm 17:1, Listen to my prayer from lips free of deceit. Psalm 145:18, The Lord is near unto all those who call upon him, to all that call upon him in truth. Your heart and tongue must go together. Word and work, lip and life, prayer and practice must echo one to another, or all will be lost, heaven lost, and the soul lost forever. It is not the greatness of the voice, nor the multitude of words, nor the sweetness of the tone, nor studied notions, nor eloquent expressions, which Jehovah heeds, but truth in the inward parts. Psalm 51:6. When the Athenians would know of the oracle, the cause of their often unprosperous successes in battle against the Lacedaemonian, seeing they offered the choicest things they could get in sacrifice to the gods which their enemies did not, the oracle gave them this answer, that the gods were better pleased with their inward supplication than with all their outward pomp in costly sacrifices. Ah, souls! The reason why you are so unsuccessful in your pious duties and services is because you are no more sincere and upright in them. Were there more singleness and sincerity of heart in your duties, you would have surer and sweeter returns from heaven. Ah, Christians, the more sincere you are, the more will prayer be your food and drink, and the more prayer is a delight and pleasure to you, the more will you be the pleasure and delight of God, who delights in those who delight in his service, and who count his work better than wages. Christ says to upright souls, Hitherto have you asked nothing. Ask, and you shall receive, that your joy may be full. John 16:24. Christ has a full purse, a noble heart, and a liberal hand. 4. The fourth requisite in prayer is this, namely, your prayer must be to a good end. It must be to the glory of God, and to the internal and eternal advantage of your own and others' souls. The chief end, the bullseye, the mark at which the soul must aim in prayer is God's glory. Whatever you do, do all to the glory of God. 1 Corinthians 10:31. When God crowns us, he does but crown his own gifts in us. And when we give God the glory of all we do but give him the glory that is due unto his name. For he works all our works in us and for us. God measures all men's actions by their ends. If their end is good, all is good. If the end be bad, all is bad. The end determines the action. All actions of worship are good or bad, as the mark is at which the soul aims. He who makes God the object of prayer, but not the end of prayer, does but lose his prayer and take pains to undo himself. God will be all in all, or he will be nothing at all. He will be both the object and the end of prayer, or else he will abhor your prayer. Those prayers never reach his ear. They are never lodged in his bosom, which are not directed to his glory. The end must always be as noble as the means, or else a Christian acts below himself. Yes, below his very reason. Ah, Christians, it is not a flood of words, nor high strains of wit, nor vehemency of affections in prayer, but holy and gracious ends, which will render prayer acceptable and honorable to God, comfortable and profitable to yourselves and others. Yes, the directing of one prayer to divine glory does more torture and torment Satan than all the prayers in the world that are directed to ends below divine glory. It is not simply prayer, but the soul's aiming at divine glory in prayer that adds to Christ's crown and Satan's hell. Lord, says Austin, take all away. Only give me yourself. Isaiah 1:11, Zechariah 7:6, Amos 5:22, Hosea 7:14. Many heathens, as Aristides, Cato, Themistocles, with divers others, did sincerely many great services for the common good, and not for their own gain. But yet they could not hit the mark, the glory of God, and so their most glorious actions were but glorious sins. And thus I have showed you all the requisites of prayer, even of such prayer as accompanies salvation. I shall now proceed to some other particulars for the further and fuller opening of this truth. 2. The second property. Secondly, that prayer which accompanies salvation betters the whole man. By it, faith is increased, hope strengthened, the spirit exhilarated, the heart pacified, the conscience purified, temptations vanquished, corruptions weakened, the affections inflamed, the will more renewed, and the whole man more advantaged. Prayer is a spiritual chair wherein the soul sits down at the feet of the Lord to receive the influences of His grace. Prayer is the regal gate by which the Lord enters into the heart, comforting, quieting, strengthening, quickening, and raising of it. The Scripture affords us a cloud of witnesses to prove this truth, but I appeal to praying saints. Tell me, praying souls, do not you find it so? I know you have and do, and that is it that makes prayer a pleasure, a paradise unto you. It was a sweet saying of Ambrose, O Lord, I never go from you without you. The third property. Thirdly, you may judge what prayer that is, which accompanies salvation, by considering the difference that is between the prayers of the godly and the wicked. Now the difference between the prayers of the one and the other I shall show you in the following particulars. The first difference. First, gracious souls do trade and deal with God in prayer, only upon the account and credit of Christ. They beg mercy to pardon them, and grace to purify them, and balm to heal them, and divine favor to comfort them, and power to support them, and wisdom to counsel them, and goodness to satisfy them. But all upon the account of Christ's blood, of Christ's righteousness, of Christ's satisfaction, and of Christ's intercession at the right hand of the Father. Revelation 4:10-11. They seek the Father in the Son. They present their suits always in Christ's name, for so is the will of Christ. John 14:13-14. And whatever you shall ask in my name, that will I do, that the Father may be glorified in the Son. If you shall ask anything in my name, I will do it. John 15:16. Whatever you shall ask of the Father in my name, he will give you. John 16:23. Truly I say unto you, whatever you shall ask the Father in my name, he will give you. The Greek is pregnant, and may be read not only whatever, but also how many things soever you shall ask or beg of the Father in my name, he will give them to you. There is no admission into heaven except we bring Christ in our arms. Ephesians 2:18. For through him we both have access by one Spirit unto the Father. The Greek word signifies a leading by the hand. It is an allusion to the custom of princes, to whom there is no admission unless we be brought in by one of the favorites. As no access, so no acceptance without Christ, Ephesians 1:6, wherein he has made us accepted in the Beloved. Plutarch reports that it used to be the practice of some of the heathens, the Molossians, when they would seek the favor of their prince, they took up the king's son in their arms, and so went and kneeled before the king. Christians, Christ is near and dear unto the Father. The Father has determined to give out all his loves and favors through his Son. If you bring Christ in the arms of your faith, you gain the Father's heart, and in gaining his heart, you gain all. The Father's mercies melt, his affections move, his heart turns, his compassions are kindled upon the sight of his Son's merits and mediation. As Joseph said to his brethren, you shall not see my face unless you bring your brother Benjamin, so says God. You shall not see my face unless you bring the Lord Jesus with you. Now, gracious souls, in all their prayers they present Jesus Christ before the Father, and upon his account they desire those things that make for their external, internal, and eternal good. But vain unbelievers treat and trade with God in prayer upon the account of their own worth, righteousness, worthiness, and services. Isaiah 58:2-3. Why have we fasted, and you have not seen it? Why have we humbled ourselves, and you have not noticed? Here you see they stand upon their own practices and services, and expostulate the case with God in an angry manner, because God did not answer their hypocritical performances. So the proud Pharisee stands in prayer upon his own worthiness and righteousness. Luke 18:11-12. The Pharisee stood and prayed thus with himself: God, I thank you that I am not as other men are, extortioners, unjust, adulterers, or even as this publican. I fast twice in the week. I give tithes of all that I possess. This Pharisee was like the Egyptian temple, painted without and vile within, varnished without and vermin within. So did those hypocrites in Matthew 6:23 stand very much upon their outward services and performances, though they were but shining sins, but filthy rags. The second difference. Secondly, souls truly gracious pray more to get off their sins than they do to get off their chains. Though bonds did await Paul in every place, Acts 20:23, as himself speaks, yet he never cries out, O wretched man that I am, who shall deliver me from my bonds? But, O wretched man that I am, who shall deliver me from my sins, from this body of death? Romans 7:23. David cries not, I am undone, but I have done foolishly, Psalm 51:4. But wicked men strive in prayer more to get off their chains than to get off their sins, more to be delivered from enemies without than lusts within, more to get out of the furnace than to be delivered from their spiritual bondage, as these scriptures evidence. Psalm Zechariah 7:5-7, Isaiah 26:16-7. The third difference. Thirdly, the stream and cream of a gracious man's spirit runs most out in prayer after spiritual and heavenly things, as is abundantly evident by those prayers of the saints that are upon record throughout the Scripture, Psalm 4:6-7 and Psalm 27:4. But the stream and cream of vain men's spirits in prayer runs most out after poor, low, carnal things, as you may see in comparing the following scriptures together: Hosea 7:14, Zechariah 7:5-7, James 4:3, etc. The fourth difference. Fourthly, a gracious soul looks and lives more upon God in prayer than upon his prayer. He knows, though prayer be his chariot, yet Christ is his food. Prayer may be a staff to support him, but Christ is that manna that must nourish him, and upon him he looks and lives. Psalm 5:3. In the morning will I direct my prayer unto you, or marshal and set in order my prayer, as it is in the Hebrew, and will look up, or look out, as it is in the Hebrew, as a watchman looks out to discover the approaches of an enemy. But vain men, they live and look more upon their prayers than they do upon God. More, usually they never observe what returns they have from heaven. They are like those who shoot arrows, but do not mind where they fall. Wicked men think it is religion enough for them to pray, and to look after their prayers, to see how their prayers speed, is no part of their faith. But a gracious soul is of a more noble spirit. When he has prayed, he will stand upon his watchtower and observe what God will speak. Psalm 85:8. I will hear what God the Lord will speak. I will listen and lay my obedient ear to what the Lord shall speak. For he will speak peace unto his people and to his saints. But let them not return to folly. Or, as the Hebrew may be read, and they shall not return to folly. Wicked men would have God to be all ear to hear what they desire, when themselves have never an ear to hear what he speaks. But deaf ears shall always be attended with dumb answers. God's justice always makes mercy dumb when sin has made the sinner deaf. The fifth difference. Fifthly, no discouragements can take gracious souls off from prayer, but the least discouragements will take off carnal hearts from prayer, as you may see in the following scriptures compared together. Psalm 41:2 and Psalm 44:10-23, Matthew 15:21-29, Malachi 3:14, Isaiah 58:1-3, Amos 8:3-5, etc. When one of the ancient martyrs was severely threatened by his persecutors, he replied, There is nothing, says he, of things visible, nothing of things invisible, which I fear. I will stand to my profession of the name of Christ, and contend earnestly for the faith once delivered to the saints, come on it what will. It is neither the hope of life nor the fear of death that can take a real Christian off from prayer. He is rather raised than dejected. He is rather quickened than discouraged by delays or denials. He will hold up and hold on in a way in course of prayer, though men should rage and lions roar, and the furnace be heat 7 times hotter, etc. But it is not so with carnal hearts. Job 27, 9 through 10. The sixth difference. Sixthly, when a gracious man prays, he has his heart in his prayer. When he falls upon the work, he makes heart work of it. In his course, his heart is in his prayer. He finds by experience that the heart is the great wheel that moves all other wheels. It is the chief monarch in the life of man. So David, Psalm 42:4, when I remember these things, I pour out my heart. So Hannah, 1 Samuel 1:15, I am a woman of a sorrowful spirit, said she, and have poured out my soul before the Lord. So the Israelites in 1 Samuel 7:6 pour out their souls like water before the Lord. So the church in Isaiah 26:8-9, the desire of our soul is to your name and to the remembrance of you. With my soul have I desired you in the night. Yes, with my spirit within me will I seek you early. The heart, as a prince, gives laws to all other members. The heart is Christ's bed of spices. It is his presence chamber. It is his royal throne. It is one of those 4 keys which God keeps under his own belt. Gracious souls know that no prayer is acknowledged, accepted, and rewarded by God, but that wherein the heart is sincerely and holy. It is not a piece, it is not a corner of the heart, which will satisfy the maker of the heart. The true mother would not have the child divided. As God loves a broken and a contrite heart, so he loathes a divided heart. God neither loves halting nor having. He will be served truly and totally. The royal law is, you shall love and serve the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul. Deuteronomy 10, verse 12. Among the heathens, when the beasts were cut up for sacrifice, the first thing the priest looked upon was the heart, and if the heart was bad, the sacrifice was rejected. Truly, God rejects all those sacrifices wherein the heart is bad. Now wicked men are heartless in all their services, in all their prayers, as you may see in comparing the following scriptures together. I shall not transcribe the words, because I must cut short the work. Isaiah 29:13, Matthew 15:7-9, Ezekiel 33:30-32, Zechariah 7:4-6, 2 Chronicles 25:1-2. As the body without the soul is dead, so prayer without the heart in it is but dead prayer in the eye and account of God. Prayer without the heart is but an empty ring, a tinkling cymbal. Prayer is only lovely and weighty as the heart is in it, and not otherwise. It is not the lifting up of the voice, nor the wringing of the hands, nor the beating of the breasts, but the stirrings of the heart, which God looks at in prayer. God hears no more than the heart speaks. If the heart is dumb, God will certainly be deaf. No prayer is accepted by God, but that which is the travail of the heart. The seventh difference. Seventhly, gracious souls usually come off from prayer, with hearts more disengaged from sin and more vehemently set against it. The precious communion that they have with God in prayer, the sweet breathings of God into their hearts while they are breathing out their requests in his ears, and the secret assistance, stirrings, and movings of the Spirit upon their souls in prayer, arm them more against sin and makes them stand upon the highest terms of defiance with sin. How shall I do this or that wickedness against God, says the praying soul. Oh, I cannot. I will not do anything unworthy of him who has caused his glory to pass before me in prayer. Ah, but wicked men come off from prayer with hearts more encouraged to sin and more resolved to walk in ways of sin. Proverbs 7:14-24. I have peace offerings with me, says the harlot. This day have I paid my vows. Therefore came I forth to meet you, diligently to seek your face, and I have found you. Come, let's drink deep of love till morning. Let's enjoy ourselves with love. That is, let us be drunken with love, which shows her unsatiable lusts. So in Jeremiah 7:9-10, will you steal and murder, commit adultery and perjury, burn incense to Baal, and follow other gods you have not known, and then come and stand before me in this house, which bears my name, and say, we are safe to do all these detestable things? Wicked men are like Louis, King of France, who would swear and then kiss the cross, and then swear more bitterly and then kiss the cross. So they sin and pray and sin, and the more they pray, the more easily, resolutely, impudently do they sin. They make use of prayer to quiet their consciences so that they may sin with more pleasure and less regret. Ah, what pains do such sinners take to go to hell, and to arm their consciences against themselves in that day, wherein they shall say, There is no help, there is no hope. This age is full of such monsters who have no pity upon themselves. The eighth difference. Eighthly and lastly, gracious souls do more eye and observe how their own hearts are wrought upon in prayer than how others' hearts are wrought upon. When they pray, they look with a curious eye upon their own spirits. They look with a narrow eye upon their own hearts, and observe how they are affected, melted, humbled, quickened, raised, spiritualized, and bettered by prayer. But vain men, as they pray to be seen of men, so they eye most how others like their prayers, and are affected and taken with their prayers. They are most critical in observing what operations their prayers have upon others' hearts, but never mind, to any purpose, how they operate upon their own hearts. A worse plague cannot befall them. And thus I have endeavored to show you what a wide difference there is between the prayers of the godly and the ungodly. And by this, as by the former particulars laid down, you may see what prayer that is which accompanies salvation.